Hi, good evening. I am Roger Romanelli, and I'm a resident of the village of Hillside in Illinois. I am also a candidate for mayor of Hillside in the April 1st, 2025 election. I'm making this video on March 19th, 2025. This video is my testimony and my evidence that I am the victim of a battery crime here in Hillside, and I have been denied my right to justice and personal safety under the law. I do not make this video lightly. I take no joy in exposing a very sad chapter in the village of Hillside history here. I was born and raised here. I've shared countless joys with my family, my longtime partner Jennifer and her boys, and with hundreds of wonderful Hillside neighbors, some of the kindest and most generous people I've ever known. And this is true. But as a candidate for mayor of Hillside, as a longtime Hillside volunteer for primarily public safety and law enforcement, and as a 35-year urban planner in Chicago, currently the director of Chicago's Fulton Market Association, I have worked directly with the Chicago police since 1990 to fight against gangs and guns and drugs and crime. And so what happened to me, being the victim of a crime and being denied law enforcement, I just feel in my heart and I feel in my mind that this video is essential for everyone in Hillside for 4 reasons. 1, you and I are Hillside residents. Everyone in Hillside must be protected by the law. Everyone must be required to follow the law. No one in Hillside is above the law. Number 2, I announce with sadness in my heart the truth that it is the current mayor of Hillside, Joe Tamburino. He is the person who hit me on March 11, 2024, almost over a year ago, after a village meeting was over, and I stood peacefully at the back of the village room speaking with my neighbors. 3, because Joe Tamburino has abused his power as mayor, he has evaded law enforcement, and he has denied my right to justice and personal safety under the law. And therefore, everyone in Hillside must know this. You are entitled to the facts. You are entitled to know his conduct as your current mayor of Hillside. And number 4, because of his unacceptable conduct, not only in striking me and committing a battery crime and then using his authority and power to get away with it, at least for now, and because Joe Tamburino has abused his authority in other aspects of his role as mayor in his decision-making. Friends, I believe in my heart and I believe with conviction that Joe Tamburino cannot be reelected as mayor of Hillside. And I say this as objectively as possible, but I say it as someone running who wants to lead Hillside, serve you, and uphold the law at all times. Now, I am going to present 3 points of evidence, and I ask you to look at the evidence that I present. And then number 4, after I present the final piece of evidence, I have with me here in my home a person who is a former law enforcement official with 20 years experience as a peace officer. And so I am going to ask that person some questions to clarify what happened on the video, to clarify the law, which is the Illinois battery law, and to help all of us understand, did Mr. Tamburino commit a crime when he struck me without my consent and then in a hostile way invaded my space? We'll get to that. And this video is supposed to be informative for all of you. Now, let me first share with you my first piece of evidence. And so I'm going to go to this section over here, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to screen share. Apologies for this. I'm going to press screen share. Okay, and I'm going to come here to what is the state of Illinois statute regarding, just scrolling up, the state of Illinois statute regarding criminal offenses. This is section Illinois Code 720 ILS 5 / Criminal Code of 2012. And I scroll down here about 4 or 5 paragraphs, and I come right here to the issue of what is a battery crime. And that's my contention, is that Joe Tamburino committed a battery crime by striking me without my consent. And so here's the definition right here. You see it on screen, but let's read it together. Section 12.3 battery. A person commits battery if he or she knowingly, without legal justification, by any means, and let's skip to point number 2, makes physical contact of an insulting or provoking nature with an individual. Again, a person commits a battery if they make physical contact of an insulting or provoking nature with an individual. And you see it here, okay? Now, I come back to myself on screen. Why is this law so essential? I say to all of you, if you're walking in the Hillside Library, if you're walking down the street on Butterfield Road or Wolf Road, if you're in the Target shopping center, if you're at Krispy Kreme or IHOP, if you're pumping gas at one of our Hillside gas stations, no stranger can come up behind you and put their hand on you. No one can do that. And obviously, this is essential. Let's say you happen to have some type of weapon on you, and someone suddenly comes up behind you and startles you, and you don't know their intention. This is why we cannot put our hands on each other. Now, if you're a friend of someone or a spouse of someone or a father and a son, and you have a playful relationship and you have a history of playing, tag with each other, and you know about that with each other, well, by all means, you have implied consent because you're family members or friends. Joe Tamburino and I have no personal relationship at all. And in fact, we have a heightened non-friendship relationship because I am a candidate for mayor and so is he. We're the only 2 candidates for mayor. Now, a year ago when he hit me, I was not a candidate for mayor, but I am a Hillside volunteer who has challenged his policies. And that night, in fact, I was challenging that he was not complying with the state of Illinois law about filing and reporting hotel taxes. And so I think he was charged up because I was alleging a very serious act that I believe I am in the right. If you look at the financial reports, you see these hotel taxes are not reported properly. The point of the battery crime is this. Again, we can't walk around Hillside putting our hand on each other, especially if we're strangers without consent. Okay, let me point to a second piece of evidence for you, which is and let me come back so I can screen share so you can see this video. I have a video here that I found on YouTube, and it defines what a battery crime is. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it in its full. It's 1 minute and 38. I'm gonna kick up the speed to 1.25, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and listen to this. And here we go. It's by a group called County Office Law. I think they're a nationwide group that are trying to educate people about our laws across America. So here I will play this and I will be quiet.
Welcome to County Office, your ultimate guide to local government services and public records. Let's get started.
What is battery in crime? Battery is a criminal offense involving unlawful physical contact. It differs from assault, which can involve just the threat of harm. Battery requires actual physical contact. The contact must be intentional and harmful or offensive. Even minor contact can be considered battery if it is done without consent. The intent behind the action is crucial in determining battery. Self-defense or defense of others may be valid defenses against a battery charge. Battery can be classified as either simple or aggravated. Simple battery generally involves minor injuries or offensive touching. Aggravated battery involves serious harm or the use of a weapon. The severity of the charge can affect the potential penalties. Penalties for battery can include fines, imprisonment, or both. The legal definitions and penalties for battery can vary by jurisdiction. Understanding local laws is essential for accurate information.
And so I'm going to pause the video right there and just come back without playing it. I'm going to come back to what they displayed. What is battery in crime? And it says, you can see it on the screen right here. It says, battery requires actual physical contact. A battery crime involves the unlawful physical contact. The contact must be intentional and harmful or offensive. Now, I was not injured when Joe Tamburino slammed me on my shoulder with his left hand from behind, but it was offensive contact, which you will see in the video. So again, battery requires physical contact, which happened to me, and the intention was offensive. If we scroll even further here, we say, what is battery and crime? Even minor contact can be considered battery if it's done without consent, which is exactly what happened. You'll see in the video, Mr. Tamburino came up behind me and he slammed me on the shoulder. He had zero consent to touch me or slam his hand on me. And then the intent behind the action is crucial in determining whether it's a battery crime or not. Okay, so now you have two pieces of information. You have the Illinois code that says you cannot make physical contact of an insulting or provoking nature. And you have this other video that says you cannot make contact at all, and especially look at the intent of the action. And so now we're going to go to the video of what happened just over a year ago in Hillside Village Hall on March 11, 2024. And I'm going to set up the video and I'm going to play it with my narration. And then when I'm done with my narration, I'm going to bring in a person I know who's a former law enforcement official to answer some questions. So again, let me simply set this up for everyone. This is Monday night, March 11, 2024. You see, this is the police camera video of Nicholas Rodriguez, a Hillside police officer. There is no audio, it's video only. Mr. Rodriguez is sitting or standing, I believe, at the back of the Village Hall meeting. You see I'm at the back. I'm the gentleman with the black vest on with blue sleeves and not a lot of hair on my head. And I'm talking to some of my Hillside neighbors. I know who they are. I don't want to give their identity just yet, but if we need to proceed with further witnesses and investigation, we will. But I'm speaking with at least three of my neighbors about the hotel taxes that I presented during the meeting with my 3-minute comment. So here I am at the 20-minute mark. Now, Mr. Tamburino will come in at the 30-minute mark from behind, but I also want to point out that what you will see on this video is as soon as he puts his hand on me, you will see Hillside Police Officer Nicholas Rodriguez attempt to cover up the lens of the camera that is showing the mayor committing a battery crime. And then you will see a figure come from over here in the video and also try to block the camera. Excuse me. So let me let it run here. Here we have, I've got it at half speed so everyone can see it. And I'm gonna open up the video here. I'm at the 25-minute mark. Now, Mr. Tamburino is gonna slide between Officer Mike Dolan, who's standing right in front. Mr. Tamburino sees me speaking with residents and he slams his hand right on my shoulder right there and automatically puts his finger right in my face. You see, I'm startled. You see that the mayor is in my space, waving his finger in my face. Now you see the officer attempt to put his finger over the camera, and then this other gentleman comes in. I'm just gonna pause this video right here because there's so much happening. The mayor has said at the village meeting that he was trying to get my attention, that he came to the back of the room to get my attention and have a discussion with me. But friends, that's not what you saw. You saw the mayor slam his hand on me to disrupt my conversation with the people. You saw him poke his finger in my face and yell at me. And now what had happened, and I'll let the video continue, is he's not speaking directly to me having a conversation. He's speaking to everyone back here, and he's talking about me personally. He actually was talking about Butterfield Road that had nothing to do with the hotel tax. So he's not back here to have a friendly conversation. He's there to disrupt my conversation with others and attempt to slander my reputation and undercut my integrity with the people I'm talking to. Now, I'm asking him for clarification about the numbers, and I'm pointing to the board, and now he's pointing in my face, and watch his finger again pointing at the board, pointing at me in a hostile way. This is not how someone gets your attention to have a friendly conversation. And it all started with him hitting me on the shoulder. So now I'm going to reset here. And I am going to ask the person that is with me, who will be anonymous, to simply, I'm going to ask a few questions. So person, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And I can confirm you're a former law enforcement official with over 20 years of experience being a peace officer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I thank you for being here. Now, you have seen, and I have showed you the Illinois state definition of a battery crime. Would you agree with me that if myself or anyone in Hillside walked around Hillside, we went to the Target shopping center, the bowling alley, we went to the library, we were at a gas station, and we came up behind someone who was pumping their gas or bowling or shopping, and we whacked them on the shoulder and then started to point our finger in their face and yell at them, would that be considered a battery crime, a simple battery crime, a crime that where an injury does not occur, but it is a battery because you're making unwarranted physical contact? Do you agree, yes or no?
Yes, I do agree with that.
Okay, and so this law is set to prevent all of us in Hillside and throughout our state from making unwanted physical contact with each other. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay, now, here is the video from the village of Hillside. You have seen this before, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about all the different moving parts of this video. So I am standing at the back of the room after the meeting is over, and I am peacefully speaking with my neighbors. Now, before the mayor comes into camera, if he wanted to get my attention, isn't he required as someone in public to call my name or wave at me that he can get my attention without making physical contact with me? Is that how you're supposed to get someone's attention?
Yes, you're supposed to get someone's attention, either standing in front of them or calling their name out where they can acknowledge you.
Correct. Okay, thank you for that. Now, I am standing peacefully speaking with my neighbors about some facts that I brought to a government meeting. I have no knowledge, that Joe Tamburino is coming up behind me. I have no knowledge whatsoever. I didn't. Now, when I have my back to this Mr. Tamburino, and I have not given any consent because we have no personal relationship, watch what happens. He thumps his hand on my shoulder, leaves it on my shoulder, wields his finger in my face, starts pointing at me, gets in my physical space, doesn't even give me time. Now the police officer puts his finger in front of the camera and look at me. And another man comes to block the camera. And I basically put up my hands and said, I've got to have space here. And so then out of deference, I turn to hear what this man has to say. But I ask you again, I'll come back to it. I just want to come back to it and you watch it in real time with me. This man comes and he slams his hand on my shoulder. Is that a battery crime? And then he puts his finger on my face with hostile intention.
Yes, that is.
Would you consider that a battery crime?
Yes.
And would you consider it a battery crime, a simple battery crime, because he did not have my consent and that he physically put his hand on me?
Correct.
And that is illegal under the law.
It's illegal under Illinois state law.
And it is rightfully illegal because, again, at this village meeting, I can't go around to all these 40 people and just start touching them on their shoulder. And as the mayor of Hillside, he must and should be the leading example of being above the law, of being not above the law, of complying with the law.
Right.
And yet I believe he feels he's above the law, that he can come back here, whack me on the shoulder, wag his finger in my face, and start yelling at me. And as you see on this continued video, he's in my face, wagging his finger in my face. Now, why would this police officer put his finger? I'm not going to ask you to answer this. I'm going to answer myself. These people are trying to cover up the camera lens because they must have seen the mayor put his hand on me and yell in my face with his finger in my face. Now, again, I continue here to try to get the mayor's attention on the fact of what we're talking about, which is these hotel taxes being hidden, but he will not address the issue. And then he's waving off. I'm telling him, can we address what's on the board? And he's talking about a whole other topic here. That's what he was talking about. Now I say, when are you going to tell us the truth? And in leaving, he's pointing at me again, and here comes the finger again, pointing in my face. This is not a friendly interaction. Correct, sir? Now I ask the person that is here with me. You saw Mr. Tamburino's conduct toward me. That is not a friendly interaction, correct?
That is not friendly.
And
That is,
so-
intimidation.
I thank you for saying that. So if you look at him hitting me on the shoulder, putting his finger in my face, continuing to point his finger at me, you would consider that a simple battery crime, provocative in nature, insulting, and intimidating.
Yes, I would.
And I thank you for that. And so, friends, again, I do not make this video lightly, and I thank you for your participation. I do not make this video lightly, and I'm going to stop the share right here and tell all of you that I am making this video again for several points. One, I am recording my testimony and my evidence. I am going to continue to appeal to law enforcement to hold Joe Tamburino accountable to the laws of Illinois. And so far, I requested a Hillside Police Department report. They said no. They said we have to involve the Cook County Sheriff's Police. So then I met with the Cook County Sheriff's Police in August of last year, and they admitted on the video, which I don't have here, but I will be getting. I got it through Freedom of Information back in September of last year, but I was busy. I didn't download it. So then it went away because I lost that time to access it, but I can get it back. But I will simply tell you that as I sat with the Cook County Sheriff's Police, I said, sir, do you see this video of the mayor putting his hand on me? And the Sheriff's Police person, Michael Dwyer, said, yes, I do see him putting his hand on you. And he said, well, this is like you're at a party and you bump into each other and you're having a social gathering. And I said, no, sir, this has nothing to do with a social gathering. This man came behind me. He knows that I am an activist in Hillside. I've been critical of his policies. I was critical of his policy that night. Of all people, he should keep his hand off me. And I asked the Sheriff's Police to support a finding against the mayor of Hillside. They refused. And so then I have waited until the new Cook County Cook County State's Attorney took office. And I just got an email last week saying, sorry, but the Cook County Sheriff's Police have already analyzed this issue. And they found no findings against the mayor of Hillside. Well, that is unacceptable. And it's unacceptable for everyone in Hillside. No one can come up behind you in Hillside and put their hand on you without your consent. And certainly it can't be anyone who's elected official. And so I say to all of you, you've seen the evidence, you've read the law, you've heard the comments of someone who's been in law enforcement for 20 years, who knows the law. And I tell all of you that after 43 years of Joe Tamburino being in Hillside, I believe that this man thinks he's above the law. And I think that is very dangerous for our village. And if you look at his policies of higher taxes, of overspending our Hillside funds far beyond what other villages, including Westchester and Berkeley, far beyond, millions and millions more than those villages. When you look at Mr. Tamburino promising new tax revenues to come to our village and then revoking those pledges and making backroom deals with people he used to work with in the private sector and helping them make millions of dollars. Hillside's only getting $1 on Taft Avenue. When you see the mayor intervening and blocking private investment like he did on the STMAC building, I think you see a pattern. I hope you see the pattern of a man who is out of control and believes he's above the law, and a man whose time in Hillside, he must be retired. as the existing mayor of Hillside, and he cannot be reelected, cannot in this election. Now, some are going to be out there saying that this video is all political, that Roger Romanelli's making a political video to win the election for mayor, and that is not the truth. I am making this video to show the record of the sitting mayor, Joe Tamburino, who must be accountable for his actions, just like I am going to be accountable for my actions as well. I have not broken the law my whole 58 years. I've never been charged with a crime, and I've never broken the law. And so that is my record. And I ask you to look at the evidence I presented tonight and look at the record of Joe Tamburino. This man cannot be reelected. This man I believe that he considers himself above the law. And I believe that he used his position of authority to convince the Cook County Sheriff's Police not to support charges against him for whacking me on my shoulder, which was, in my view, a battery crime that has been supported by evidence that I've showed you and supported by the associate that was here this evening. If you have any questions, you can contact me on my cell phone, 773-531-6370. You can also email me at hillsideforward@gmail.com. And if you have any questions about my candidacy for mayor, I ask you to reach out to me and let us all in Hillside go forward under the banner of safety and prosperity for all and a greater future for our families, our children, our seniors, under the most important principle of all, that all of us in Hillside are accountable to the law and that no one in Hillside is above the law. Thank you for listening to this video. I wish you and your family well.